Hi everyone, TomWasHere, and welcome to the TomWasHere Halloween Haunts channel. It's time for our haunt discussion of our another road trip haunt. We went to Central PA for the first time and did check out what was a bucket list haunt for me, and I know the boys as well, and that was Field of Screams. Considered by some the #1 haunted attraction in America, and we were there to check it out and see what it's all about. We reached out to Field of Screams. They were kind enough to invite us out to check it out, to experience it all. And we did go on a Friday night. Now, Friday nights as opposed to Saturday nights for haunted attractions and things like that, sometimes not nearly as busy, but also sometimes you don't get as many scare actors there. So depending on, how that works, your mileage may vary whether you go on a Saturday night or Friday night, navigating a larger crowd versus maybe more scare actors to navigate said crowd. But, really want to check out Field of Screams. Really looking forward to it. So let's get into the haunt discussion on the TomWasHere Halloween Haunts channel for Field of Screams 2025. Right now. Okay, so as this was our first time, we obviously, when you get the lofty expectation of what is the #1 haunted attraction or something like that in America, obviously you're playing, that you have to deliver on that such thing. And the first thing we notice out of the gate is Field of Screams, considering it's a farm and a barn, doesn't really feel like a farm and a barn. It feels like a premium haunted attraction, from paved sidewalks to this engraved metal, all these different, designs of all the things they've experienced over the years. And they have a midway that's absolutely loaded with stuff to do, from, like a food truck area, a lot of like carnival type food. There's live music, there's games, and there's photo ops, there's a larger store area, there's a massive area where you can gather in groups. They have a bar, a new chainsaw bar section. They have 4 different haunted attractions you can use throughout. So we were very impressed right out of the gate with all of the offerings they had. Now, we were offered to come on, say, their media night, which was a week before. We weren't able to make it out to that following weekend, so unfortunately we were not able to make their media night. So this was just a standard Friday night for them, and was just curious to see, kind of what it all entailed. They were allowing us to film portions of the haunt. We were not allowed to film it. Well, I mean, I was allowed to film the whole experience, but I could only show you portions of it. But really liked what they had offered here as far as the different sections. Now, the first one that we went into was Nocturnal Wasteland. Nocturnal Wasteland is kind of a walk-through area, but man, they have some larger set pieces in there. You go through several school buses that you walk through that are kind of like stacked in various forms. There's a crashed plane. There's a lot going on in those areas, and a good bit of scare actors throughout as well. Now, what I didn't realize, and I only learned through watching the video that I had actually filmed, is that for some reason we were walking through and I heard Goldberg's WWE theme. And that's a strange thing. It's not something you hear in a normal haunted attraction. And then I heard it again on the hayride. And I was like, that's weird that they're using, and I think I may have mentioned in the video, it's like, that's weird that they're using Goldberg's theme in 2 different sections of this haunt, but only to find out they're not using Goldberg's theme in 2 sections of this haunt. This Nocturnal Wasteland walkthrough attraction actually walks over the hayride, and I'm not, I will be the first to tell you, I'm not super observant. For someone that goes through these haunts, look, I'm trying to film, I'm trying to give a good video, I'm trying to go through, filming with my camera and trying to film what I feel is every beat of scare actors performing, set pieces, props, all this different design and stuff like that, not realizing that we're actually walking over the hayride as part of the Wasteland experience. That's really cool. In hindsight, I had not realized they had kind of linked them together like that. Really, really cool. We did enjoy the Nocturnal Wasteland. I thought it had some really cool set pieces, some cool designs, some fun actors, fun interactions, and almost every Field of Screams haunt ends with several people with chainsaws kind of swinging them wildly at you, which, to their credit, I mean, you know, considering they're swinging them wildly around, I think I got bumped into, you know, my friend got bumped into, or because they're like violently swinging these swing. So there's a lot of different things where they're swinging around these chainsaws around. So, you know, obviously, you know, most times when you're being chased by, say, like a chainsaw actor and stuff like that, there's not really much peril, I guess you could say. You know that they're not really going to swing them at you or whatever. Not Field of Screams. Field of Screams, they're definitely going to swing them at you. Now, they don't hit you intentionally. I will say, at least in 2 of the haunted houses, I did get hit with a chainsaw. You know, not, like I said, it didn't hurt. It wasn't, you know, necessarily intentional, but, you know, they definitely swing them around a good bit. But that's the one thing that's kind of how every particular haunt at Field of Screams ends. And if I had a minor nitpick, and it was very minor, I would say, you know, obviously, at this point, when you go through like the 3rd or 4th, no, the hayride doesn't. But almost every other one, there's 2 people with chainsaws kind of just chasing you around and out, and that's fine. But yeah, if there was a better ending that didn't include, say, like the same chainsaw ending that all the other ones have, but that's a minor, very minor nitpick. Now, right after that, Nocturnal Wasteland, we went to the Chainsaw Bar. Chainsaw bars are more isolated. They do card you right at there, you know, right at kind of like the entrance to even let you in there. And I got a blood bag. A blood bag was a concoction of several other mixers and rum and stuff like that. Pretty darn good. You know, no complaints there. The way I look at it is, when I'm in Rome, in this circumstance, I do what the Romans do. You know, I'm gonna get something off the, you know, I'm not gonna go to the Chainsaw Bar and get like a regular beer. My friend did that, but I mean, that's fine. You know what I mean? But like, I'm going to get the most, you know, themed version of a drink that they have, because that's exactly why it's there. It's there as a specialty drink, and that's what I'm going to do. So I had to try. I had to try to see what it was all about. But yeah, not too bad there. Then we went to the Frightmare Asylum. The Frightmare Asylum is kind of like a, obviously it seemed like a mental hospital, but there's also a few other things going on in there. But the one aspect I did like this most of all, and it's the one room that had the most scare actors in it, is they had like a kind of like a game room for the mental asylum, and there were people there. You know, there was a bunch of like props of characters. There was an actress that was eating her own feet. She had her foot in her mouth and she was eating it. So there's a lot of different actors there throughout, and kind of a super busy area. But I noticed those actors actually worked the next room as well, because the way it weaved around is it actually like weaved back before it went upstairs. And you factor in that you're in a barn. It doesn't feel like a barn. None of the places feel like a barn. We talk about immersiveness on the channel a ton when it comes to haunted houses, haunted attractions, and the idea is that if you can make a barn feel like it's an insane asylum, if you make a barn feel like it's an old, you know, old estately manor, if you can make a barn feel like it's anything other than a barn, you've won. And Field of Screams is very, very good. The theming is spectacular, where you go through these different sections of these different areas, and you never feel like you're on a farm at any point. They've themed it out so well that you don't really feel like you're in this larger, you know, it's like the idea is this started out as a family farm, and it's built into this like haunted attraction complex that they have now. Really, really impressive to see. But the Frightmare Asylum was fun. Definitely on, I would say, probably shorter than the Wasteland. I didn't clock it in, to be honest with you. I probably could and do a breakdown like that, but I didn't go that far. But you know, still like probably like a 8, 10 minute, 12 minute, something like that, 12 12 to 13, 10, maybe 10 to 12 minute attraction. I thought it was fun throughout. Like I said, there were fun actors in there. As per usual, it ended with multiple chainsaws chasing you around and out, and that's fine too, and loud chainsaws for sure in that particular one, but really did enjoy kind of that activities area where they had the game room. That was probably my highlight of, like, you know, definitely almost all of the haunted attractions that they had at Field of Screams. Then we did, and this could be out of order to be honest with you, then we did what I would consider the main event of the evening, which is their hayride. And their hayride is nothing short of impressive. Their hayride has all types of different stuff on it, where you're, you know, you start out, the idea is they blast this, like, cold, which I'm sure on a cold night probably sucks, but on this particular night it was particularly warm and it was fantastic. They blast this like cold, like smoke on you and stuff like that, and that felt great. And then you go into these various barns that are all types of theming. The one particularly, there's a couple that set pieces are so good that we were really impressed with, was the kind of like alien lab, and it looks universal, like it looks like Jurassic Park you're going into, and if that's a barn, that's crazy, because it literally looks like you're going into a, like, this big cryo lab, and everything's well themed with aliens and these large, you know, jars, and, you know, all this different stuff going on, and scientists, and, you know, there's large scale animatronics that are there. And yeah, man, we were kind of blown away by that. And then the one that I liked the most was the Pickering Garment Company, I guess you could say, like a industrial warehouse, and there's just bodies that are on like a conveyor belt that are being, like, above you. They're being, like, in constant motion. There's just constant movement of the bodies, like, going through. And then they had this thing where this actress was in this area, and they had a big, like, guillotine thing that came down, and right before the guillotine was hit, I don't know if she, like, slides her head out or what the effect is, but it almost looks like her head gets cut off, and then they pick up the head. And the way they played it was so well done. Like, the way they had it was so well done, that just the theming was excellent. We really were super impressed by the hayride. And then there's areas where the cart gets, like, bounced around. There's a big clown section. There's this one, the part that you've actually cross over in Nocturnal Wasteland, they have these large cranes, and there's bodies kind of being flung around on cranes, and fire going, and just the effects are really, really cool in that hayride. The hayride, so well done. Probably the best hayride we've ever been on. You know, there's other hayrides that are really good, and that's no knock on those other hayrides, but man, Field of Screams hayride, chef's kiss, A+, like, it really is good. And then the last one we went into was the Den of Darkness, and that was probably, of all the haunted attractions that we went to in Field of Screams, probably the most disappointing. Not necessarily in the way that you'd think. It really wasn't having anything to do with the haunt itself. I thought the haunt itself was well themed and pretty good, but really the groups we were with. Now, unfortunately, we got roped into a group of teenagers, and they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And I say this with a full authority because there's a point where we got into the second floor, and there's a fireplace. And the idea is that fireplace is decor. But they thought it was a crawl-through experience. Now, to be fair, this is not the first time on a haunted attraction where we had to crawl through a fireplace, or had to walk through a fireplace. So, based on what they were doing, we thought, okay, then we probably have to crawl through the fireplace. They were so confused as to what was going on, and they were crawling through, and they couldn't get through, and they left. They went this way, and it didn't really look, and maybe this was, if it was a slight nitpicky knock on Field of Screams, it doesn't exactly properly tell you whether you should go through the fireplace or this way. There's nothing there to navigate you, and the fireplace is open enough where it's possible you could crawl through there. So after they had given up and just went the other way, my friend Matt decided to brave it and go in there, only to find out that, of course, that's not the correct way. But you can't actually crawl into that fireplace, which we found out the hard way. only to find out that no, you're not supposed to crawl through that fireplace. That's not what it's there for. But those teenagers were annoying throughout, and they were, it's teenagers. What are you gonna do? But not just annoying, but like they were moving overly slow, and then they end up conga lining the whole experience, and that's what ends up leaving it wanting. Because as much as a haunted attraction can be good, the idea is you want a independent experience. If you can experience a haunted attraction and have an isolated experience, which is a tough thing to ask for a lot of haunted attractions, especially busy ones, to do that without kind of running into multiple lines. Because navigating, I will say, as far as like, give credit to some of these haunts that do navigate these lines, because in some cases, bring up Universal as a good example. Halloween Horror Nights is so busy that you just roll through. Conga line, they don't care. Like, that and the annoyed Universal employee that's got to be like, all right, keep going, keep going, keep going. You're not going to get a rare, isolated experience at Universal like you would at standard haunted attractions. Field of Screams, at least in several instances, we got roughly isolated experiences, but sometimes you would run into another group. And when it's those things where you run into a larger group and you're just like kind of conga lining your way through, it's just not going to be as good of an experience as when you're isolated. That's not a fault of Field of Screams. That's a fault on these teenagers that took forever to get through this haunted attraction and then end up doing things the wrong way and messing everything up. So, like I said, Den of Darkness probably our most disappointing one, but that's not Field of Scream's fault. Their theming's really good. It's a barn. Does it feel like a barn? Feels like you're going through a haunted mansion type area with good scares and good themes throughout. Just kind of running into this group of kids kind of soured the overall experience. But beyond that, really, really good. Now, we got at Field of Screams on a Friday evening, roughly about 8 o'clock. Didn't realize that Field of Screams closed at, say, 9:30 on this Friday. So only open 7 to 9:30, so 2.5 hours. So if you're going to go to Field of Screams on a Friday, you want to get there early to experience everything you can, because by the time we got there at 8, did the whole thing, went through the various, hayride, Nocturnal Wasteland, the Asylum, Den of Darkness. By that time, grabbed some merch. I got some kettle corn. I got like a pen. We got out, and we were out at like 9:30, like right at the jump when they were closing down. So and that's going in quick. That's going in like quicker. And I assume 9:30 is not when they close. A lot of haunts say, they have hours of when they're closing, but that is based on when they stop offering tickets. When a queue line is long, especially gets longer during Halloween season, it probably takes longer to get those lines through these haunted attractions. So it says 9:30 is the close time. 9:30 is not really the close time. You should have to have your tickets by 9:30. You're going to get through the haunted attractions or have the line, as long as you're in a line to go through those haunted attractions, you're probably going to be able to get through them before they close down. But yeah, just keep that in mind if you go on a Friday night, unless those hours change at some point going into, say, 2026. But based on our 2025 experience, getting through all this stuff, doing some limited, stuff, and then we have maybe like 10, 15 minutes at like the bar, a full evening was had. So keep that in mind. And then if I had to like nitpicky stuff, like random nitpicky stuff, maybe some clarification, like you're supposed to go that way and not in the fireplace. I understand that cuts down on the immersiveness a little bit. And then there were certain areas, and this is, once again, this could be a Friday thing. There were certain areas where you saw where a scare actor could or maybe should have been, that they weren't. But Field of Screams also has a big, robust cast of a lot of stuff going on, and I felt they did a pretty good job based on what they have. And obviously a Saturday show versus a Friday show, I'd be curious to see what the difference is. And also on the media night, we may take them up on media night the next year to see, kind of how that goes too, just to give you an idea of what that all entails. So let me know your thoughts on Field of Screams. Have you been there? Was there any, which one of the areas do you like the best? I'd be shocked if you picked anything other than the hayride. The hayride was far and away, like I said, it really like blew away all the other experiences. The other experiences are really good too. So it's not like a knock on the other experiences because the hayride was picked. It's because just the hayride's so well themed and well done. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Field of Screams. Do you like it? You know, was it something that you make a trip out every year to experience it? I would be curious to know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. But guys, thanks so much for watching. If you are new here, make sure to like, share, subscribe. Like to support me on Patreon like John Bailey, like Brett Persing, like Fayen, you can do so. Link is in the description below. If you'd like to buy a t-shirt, a Tom Was Here t-shirt, you can do so at Spreadshirt, as well as links to my eBay store, Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, whatnot, Arena Club. Links are in the description below. But when it comes to Field of Screams for the Haunt Discussion 2025, and until the next Haunt Discussion video, or the next video in general, we will see you soon. But until then, bye everyone, and thanks for visiting the Tom Was Here Halloween Haunts channel.